Hey, this is Alan Seaborn with another edition of Shelter in Place, in Progress, a podcast about faith, life, and how we grow. And again, like last episode, I'm recording this at home on my phone, and hopefully we'll have a little less dog background interaction on this one, but only time will tell. They're a little bit antsy. We haven't gone for our walk yet today, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But in this episode, I want to talk about something that really and again, I feel like multiple of these episodes are going to be talking about things that I've been talking about previously. And, this one is about things that I really started talking about in the first 5 or 10 episodes of the podcast. And that's figuring out how to be honest about the fact that we're not in control. It really is a devastating thing, to be honest, to come to grips with. But what God has really led me on the journey of through my health stuff. And if you're new-ish or don't remember or haven't listened in a while, just to remind you, I'm dealing with an unknown health thing. I have lived since 2011, feeling spacey, dizzy, lightheaded, brain fog, fatigued, all day, every day. I feel kind of, I've seen the tunnel kind of close in sometimes. It's gotten pretty small, narrow in my field of vision, but I've never lost consciousness. And I've bounced around from all kinds of different doctors and thinking at the beginning, okay, this is going to be pretty straightforward. And every doctor appointment ended the same way, saying, hey, we don't see anything wrong with you. Maybe you'll have better luck at another specialist, but nothing we can do. And in that process, I spent a long time really, really, really frustrated, really, really, really angry, really, really, really bitter, because there was nothing I could do. There was nothing that I had control over. And in those moments, I think what we naturally do is we try to grab back control. And while I said that, I don't know that I really even did it on purpose, but I noticed that I have my phone in my right hand, but my left hand balled up into not a fist, but like how you clutch onto something so tight that you don't want to let go. That's what my hand involuntarily did. And when I think about how we so often live clutching onto, holding so tightly onto, hoping and believing that we have control, that we have say over what happens all day, every day, in every segment of life. And for some of us, I think it's harder to feel out of control. And I never pictured that was me. But this health journey has brought me on the process to realize just how much I needed to be in control. And as I look at our world right now, I think that, some of the people that are hoarding resources, whether it's, food or toilet paper or hand sanitizer or whatever it is, to try to, maybe some of them to try to resell it, but some of them just to say, I want to make sure that we've got what we need. Even though they're getting way more than they actually need. I think that's people that are saying so much is out of control right now. What can I control? Okay, this amount of stuff that we have in our house, I can partly control that. And people just want to hang on to that small little piece of an illusion of being in control. But what we're reminded of every day right now by life, by reality, is that all that control that we thought we had, all that planning, all that, everything that we think is just holding things together, we're finding that we're not as in control as we thought we were. And what that can do is that can really throw us off. I don't know if anyone else has had this feeling, but I noticed it was probably 3 days into the official stay-in-place order in the state of Michigan, which I was relieved when that order officially came through, because I didn't think that people were going to do the right thing, the wise thing, the careful thing to help prevent the spread of this virus naturally on their own. It had to be kind of imposed on people in general, because I wasn't seeing people buying into minimizing as much as possible interactions, personal interactions. I think you get what I'm saying. But a few days into that, what I noticed is that I was feeling a lot of anxiety in my body. I didn't really notice that I felt that way, but I was feeling like one day I said to Annalise, I said, I almost feel like drunk, which doesn't make sense. I haven't had a drink in years. And I'm like, what in the world? How do I feel this feeling? And she said, actually, now that you say that, I feel that way too. And she was texting with a friend, and she said, yeah, I've been actually noticing that too. And then kind of the next day, I didn't feel it so much in my, kind of in my head. I felt it more like in my fingers and in my hands. It wasn't like a tingly, like a, what they described like a heart kind of issue. It was more almost like a restlessness, just like an energy almost. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if anyone can relate to that feeling, but what we had noticed, Annalise and I and other people that we talked with, we realized that we were feeling this this anxiety, this tension, I don't know the word, in our bodies. And I connected that to just feeling totally out of control. Because like I talked about in the last episode, staying at home and staying away from people, even though it is doing the right thing, it feels like doing nothing. So it feels like we're just kind of sitting around, and waiting and waiting. And sitting and waiting, neither of those things feel like control, right? And I've been reminded during this time of the verse, and I want to point you back if you haven't listened to it recently, or if you've never listened to it, period. The episode on meditation, it's somewhere in the first, I think it's in like the 5 to 10, 11, 12 range of episodes. So if you scroll back through, you'll be able to find it. It's just called meditation. And what I talk about in there is my practice of using the verse from Psalm 46:10, which just says, "Be still and know that I am God." And I talked about how I use that to guide my meditation time. And what this quarantine, lockdown, stay at home, shelter in place, whatever you want to call it, has reminded me of is how God used that daily time to just slowly allow me, if I need to be still and know that He's God, then that clenched fist that I talked about earlier, that clenched fist of trying to hold on to control, trying to be in charge, trying to make things go the way I want them to go. If my job is to be still and know that He's God, then I need to let go of that stuff that I'm trying to control, that I'm trying to hang on to, that I'm trying to dictate how life goes. Instead of living with this tight fist clenched together, wanting to be in control, I need to open up my hands and surrender. Hand that stuff over to Him. Let Him take that anxiety and that need to be in control and all the things that go along with it. I'm confident that Annalise and I and the couple people that we've talked to about this feeling of anxiety and those kind of things, I'm sure that we're not the only ones dealing with it. And if you're there, I want to encourage you. This isn't going to be a snap your fingers, then it's done kind of a thing. But I want to encourage you to maybe you use the same verse I talked about, Psalm 46:10. Maybe there's another verse that has kind of really connected with you in terms of surrendering, giving over control, releasing things to Him and trusting in God. You know, maybe it's trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Maybe that is the verse that you want to use to really remind you to stop living with this holding tight, white knuckle, clenched fist kind of a approach to life, and instead open up those palms, surrender. As I'm doing it, I've been mimicking kind of what I'm talking about, and I'm seeing my fingernail imprints in the palm of my hand that I was just clenching so tight. As I'm looking at it, I'm seeing that and just noticing. I mean, I don't know that there's not some deeper point there, but it's just really interesting how quick we live that way, how natural that is to hold on so tight, to clench, to white knuckle it, and to say, I got to control all this stuff. Well, reality right now is pushing us in the direction of being honest about the fact that we were never as in control as we thought we were. And what we can do now, here, is practice handing things over to God. Practice letting Him, or I was going to say letting Him be in control, but maybe acknowledging that only He can be in control. Because we don't need to let Him be in control. What we do is we let ourselves stop thinking that we're in control. And if you've been feeling that weight, that stress, that anxiety, that pressure, that, whatever word you want to put on it, and thinking everything just feels like I can't control it right now. Yeah, it's true. And that does produce fear and doubt and anxiety. And what we need to do in those moments is turn to Him. For me, that's looked like being still and knowing that He is God. And I want to encourage you to check that out or look at some other kind of practice. If you listen to the episode on meditation, you'll hear me talk in there. Hey, your way of doing this does not need to be my way of doing this. It's not important that you do it this exact way. It is important that you surrender, that you hand over control, that you let God do His thing, come in and bring healing and life and peace. And he's willing, he's waiting, he wants to do that. It might not be, or probably won't be, in the way that you're picturing it right now. But if you put yourself in this posture, what you'll experience is God meeting you. Because when we're still and we acknowledge, we know that He is God, what we do is we open up the door to allow Him to be at work in us in ways that are even different than what we pictured. And He's waiting. He wants to do that. So in this unique moment of life where we have a whole lot more time than we normally do, let's take some time and practice surrendering to Him.